Hey family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? It won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to talk about and get into the topic around, well, briefly, around us learning how to settle into the position of being the beginner. Okay, what do you mean, Phie? For myself, when I started out on this ascension journey consciously, when I started moving into my time of awakening and becoming conscious that, well, Spirit bringing me into being conscious that, okay, I'm on this journey now. One of the hardest things for me, right, was accepting that I know nothing, right? The wisest person in the room is the person who knows that they know nothing, right? And I think it's one of the first lessons you have to go through to be able to move on and be open to receiving and moving into the next phase of lessons and learning within your journey of spiritual growth and transforming and evolving. Because if you're stuck in the place of not wanting to accept that you know nothing, and your ego has you in the position of maybe not outright admitting it, but your ego has you a little bit resistant to receiving information, to taking in truth, to acknowledging certain things, to hearing things you need to hear within other people, right? You're resistant because why? From the time that adults, when we were children, from the time that adults believed that we were able to comprehend language, right? Their conversations would, it's like the programming has the adults' conversation around things like, what do you want to be when you grow up? All this stuff that programs you into believing you need to always have it all together, believing you need to know what to do, you need to look like okay, you need to be somebody who knows, right? Because if you don't, then there's a certain, there are innuendos of criticism, of shame, of things that make you feel like you have to be afraid to not look stupid, to not look like you don't know where you're going, to not look like you don't know, right? All of these things, they happen quietly, they're layered into us in the background, and it's things that start when we're really young, and it's all part of the system programming, right? The adults are programmed to engage with us that way because that's already priming us to position ourselves in a way that we're going to traject our lives in a way that fits us into the system, and that has us inputting into the system and molding ourselves into some sort of position and character or profession or whatever it is, right? That your environment, the environment created by the system around you, right, molds you and guides you and your life and your decisions into fitting in somewhere, right? And if you don't fit in somewhere, you're the outcast. If you don't fit in somewhere, and you're doing things a little differently, you're labeled in all kinds of ways ways that ostracize you, right? So naturally, you know, it's the programming to make you, put you into the position of having to be in the stance of performing and believing, thinking, being in an illusion that you know, right? I know. Even if you don't know, I know, and I'm going to follow what has been laid out to me, what's energetically projected towards me, right? I'm going to at least perform and meet the expectation of people who project to me that I need to look like I know where I'm going. I need to look like I know what I'm doing. I need to look like I know what I want. I need to look like I understand. I need to speak like I understand. I need to make sure that I have myself set in the illusion that I actually believe that I understand, even though I might be unconscious about the fact that I don't understand. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just doing what outside of me is projected to me, what is advised to me, what, is, what I'm influenced by, depending on whatever situation I find myself in at a specific moment in time. Whatever influences me or guides me and tells me that this is right. Right? So, one of the biggest things that hurdles within you that you need to get over when you start awakening and when you start moving into your spiritual growth and you start evolving and you start transforming and you start seeing things differently, you need to get over that hurdle of your ego, right? Get over the hurdle of the fear that has been seeded into you and maintained throughout your lifetime. From the time that around adults, you were able to start comprehending language and understanding what it means when somebody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? All of that inconspicuously sounds just like an innocent question. But on a higher level, it's not so innocent. Right? It comes from a place with an agenda. It comes from a place with a purpose that is meant to mold you, meant to capture you, meant to put you into a position that you direct your energy into fulfilling an invisible expectation that hovers over you throughout your life. From the first time adults come up to you and ask you and put the expectation or the illusion or whatever you want to call it, seed that expectation into you, put you into a position of believing the outside world expects you to do something and make something out of yourself. And from then on, you have this layer in the foundation of your reasoning, in the foundation of your personal judgment, in the foundation of how you judge others, in the foundation of how you believe, in the foundation of your measuring stick, your internal measuring stick of deciding how worthy you are, of you judging yourself and others as to whether they're good enough or not good enough. Are you making something out of yourself? Are they making something out of themselves? Right? So, as I said, it's all a layered issue, and every layer affects another layer. Every layer has an impact on how you're reasoning, how you're deciding, what you recognize or choose or decide to consider as choice and not as a choice, as an available option and not as an available option. Now, what spirit needs is for you to start learning to be okay being in the position of I don't know, being the learner, being ever the learner, willing to absorb and understand your outside world, recognizing that what you're operating on is ungrounded. What you're operating on has been designed to make sure that you keep feeding a system that is designed to control you, your consciousness, and your energy. Designed to keep you inputting into it and finding your validation through your ability to input into the system, right? So, Spirit needs us to get comfortable in the position of being the beginner. Step away of feeling like you need to compete, or that the outside world is competing with you, or that you need to, look like you have it all together, look like you know what you're doing. Try and, force yourself into illusions and beliefs that you know what you're doing. And you're stressed. Unconsciously, you're stressed all the time because in the background, you're actually feeling lost. You're actually wanting some real direction. You're actually trying to figure things out. You're actually trying to find your place in a system that might not actually cater for who you are and what your own personal spiritual blueprint is. A system that may offer things that don't resonate to who you are, your own gifts, your own talents, your own abilities. A system that doesn't align to your divine guidance that is available there for you. A system that is designed to make you go against the energy that might be pulling you and trying to move you in a certain direction. But you've over your lifetime been strategically programmed to feel shame, to reject yourself, to not see yourself and what you possess as worthy, as powerful, as a superpower. Because everything on the outside and the people on the outside who do all the things that the system has trained them to do, people who come out of universities, people who come out of all these things, right? That the system validates. That's who you see as powerful. That's who you see as worthy. That's who you see as knowing. So you reject yourself. But still have to keep yourself in this internal state of I know, right? And anybody who comes to challenge that I know state of being, anybody who comes to challenge your ego, anybody who comes to break down that barrier and put you into a position of having to just fall back and settle into the position of a beginner, fall back and settle into the position of I don't know, I need to learn. I actually wasn't ever taught. I just do these things in my life because that's what I've been told I need to do. That's what I've been told I need to aspire to, fit into, to get, to attain, to have, to look like I have my life together. But I don't know what's the process I'm supposed to go through. What's the internal state of being I need to grow into? I know what it looks like. I know how to maybe work towards building what it looks like and try put together what it looks like. But I don't know the process. I don't know what the experience is to actually have it without using the mechanisms of the system to put things and images and ideals and things that have been programmed into me that I'm supposed to want. I'm supposed to want to attain. I'm supposed to have, right? Once all of that programming falls away and you start moving into the place of releasing that programming and being okay with being the beginner, you allow now time and space, and you start opening up your energy and your vessel for the divine to amplify and imprint onto you what is right for you and what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to go, what you need to work out to bring yourself further into alignment for your own spiritual blueprint, for your lifetime's blueprint, right? What was the biggest thing for me? To have to accept I don't know. I don't know, and I actually, I try my best to keep it all together because of what I've been told I need to have all together. And I never feel good enough because, I seem to always be trying to, make it seem like what I think I see someone else who, on the outside, who seems to look like they have it together. I measure myself against that, and I never feel good enough. I never feel like I've quite got it. Then, others go through all of that, and it's the dead stress in the background. And they never feel good enough because the people who they're looking at, who might also be in the same position as them, trying to keep it together while struggling to pay it off. Other people, the automatic assumption is that they're not going through it because everybody's putting on a show. Everybody's been through and probably living out that programming, trying to live out the show, right? So you can't learn and you can't absorb and you can't also integrate and be in the position to receive if you're in a resistant position and stuck in your ego, not wanting to be in a place that you're willing to learn, being open to something new. The divine can't share with you, the divine can't teach you, you won't receive the spiritual imprint, you won't receive the energetic imprint and projection from the higher realms. You won't be able to perceive the energetic pull for your own pathway if you're stuck in an ego that says, I know everything. If you're stuck in a mindset that's afraid of looking like you know nothing. If you are somebody who starts feeling intimidated and inferior when people or things come around in your environment that are actually designed to help you, designed to enlighten you, designed to teach you, designed to help you build yourself, but you're not receiving, you're not open because you're worried about everything else. You're worried about what you look like. You're worried about looking like you don't know. You're worried about being criticized for not knowing. You're afraid to own your true position. That might be, I don't know. I'm a beginner. I have to learn. And this can be in your 30s, can be in your 40s, can be in your 50s. Your shame for looking a certain way, your fear and the illusions of ideas of embarrassment that you've told yourself you're going to go through for being in certain positions, for not knowing, for not having it figured out. All these things, they make it very hard for the divine to actually also effectively help you and move you into the places that you need to go. Share with you the information that you need to receive, provide you and imprint onto you the knowing, because you're resisting it, because you've got a wall up to it, because your arms are folded, because the people that you aspire to be a part of and look like and join hands with on the outside, you've told yourself that, I can't be the person who doesn't know. I can't be the person who doesn't have. I can't be the person who's in the position of still learning. To be over there, to be a part, to be in that space. I have to look like I might have gone through whatever process or whatever it is that they've gone through, but maybe I haven't. Maybe I've been just, doing what everybody else does, subscribing and getting myself engaged in and involved in whatever steps into the job world, into the money world, into the system that has been laid out for me, with the illusion of choice. Something to think about, huh? So, I know it's not easy, but if you're in a place where you're okay being the person who doesn't know, you're okay being the silent, quiet observer in the room, you're okay to look like the stupid one. It's okay, because if people are going to label you as stupid, they are ignorant. What they think they know, they don't know. Wiser you are. And it's okay to have them in that position. It doesn't make a difference to you, right? Because you're learning and they're resistant to it. Be okay with being the beginner at different times in your life. Be okay to stay in the position of being a beginner, because what we think we know, we don't know. Every single day there's just something always to learn, something always to observe, something new to perceive, something new to ascend into, something new to understand within myself and within my environment. There's always something, and there's no end point. It's a spiral. We're always going up and raising our perspective, and once we understand something, we're open and in a perspective enough, in a perspective enough to recognize the next layer, right? And new pathways open up that allow us to become aware to things and realize things that have been there the whole time, but maybe, we needed to first learn something to be able to recognize something else that will lead us into another layer and level of learning. It's just how it keeps on going, and how you keep on growing, and how you keep on evolving. And over time, learning to trust yourself and not always trying to find the validation and the approval of the outside world and the system. Okay. So take some time, and when it's time to get yourself in the right mindset, be willing to admit that there are things and resistance, that you have ego issues, and you have issues of resistance and rejection inside you and walls up inside you, that you're hard-headed in different ways and forms that you don't want to look at, right? Be willing to recognize those things. Be willing to admit those things in yourself. Because if you recognize them, then you can humble yourself and start actually having a conversation with Spirit and being like, Spirit, I see it. Please just show me how. How do I let this go? How do I drop this wall? How do I surrender so that I'm able to receive? Please help me find stability and certainty in, in no longer being in the place that I felt I was safe and protected in. When I held myself in the illusion of believing and thinking that I know, and moving through life not even realizing I'm tight in this space within myself, not even realizing that it's a point of anxiety of anxiety within me. It's a point of contention within me, right? Because I've become normalized into it. It's been seeded into me since I was a kid and reinforced in different areas of my life with the choices I've had to make, the options I've been presented with, and how the options are programmed to me, and the people around me and their energy and their perspectives, and their conversations and their worries, and also their seeing their own expectations and wants for their life. All of these things have impacted me in some way. I didn't know that I was stuck in my ego. I didn't know that I was in a place of resistance to taking in new information, resisting opening up to different forms of awareness, resistant to learning, not wanting to be seen like I'm a learner. I didn't know that I was in this place of wanting to look like I actually know what I'm doing, where I'm going, like I know everything. All of this is it's a blockage, and it's the one thing, the first thing you need to get over. You can't argue and compete with somebody on the outside of you who also doesn't know. It's it becomes a thing where you're competing and you're having these ego wars, unspoken ego wars with people, and you're both fools. So yeah, learn to be okay and learn to want to be in the energy consistently of being the beginner, because then you're open and you're going to always be open to learn, open to receive, open to a new perspective, open to a new opportunity, open to a new pathway. The opposite to that is somebody who lives in limitation, somebody who's too afraid to take an opportunity or delve into something different, because they're avoidant to being a beginner, to being a learner, to being somebody who is in the position of I don't know. Make sure that you're always in the place of learning. You're always open and willing to receive from whatever situation and whoever on the outside. And I've said before, even if it's your enemy, your ego will make you want to fight them. Your ego will make you want to defend yourself. Your ego will make you want to dismiss. Your ego will make you want to minimize. Your ego will tell you that it's irrelevant. Okay? Anyway, I'm gonna stop there. Okay? And I'm gonna pull a card today from the guidebook. Excuse me. From the guidebook. Excuse me. Trust your vibes, oracles by Sonia Chuket. Okay. And let's see what spirit has to support our conversation, or give somebody who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay. Let's see. Spirit man, please have one card to support our conversation. Thank you. Learn. It says learn. It says learn. Learn. Be open. Be open to learning. Be open to being the learner. Be open to being the beginner. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. I love when it aligns. Anyway, I'm gonna see what the book has to say. Number 19. It never gets old for me. Okay, 19. Learn. Right now, you don't possess all the soul skills you need to resolve your life challenges. It's time to learn more in order to find answers and move to a higher vibration. And move to a higher vibration of personal peace. Thankfully, you're being contacted by a very important range of personal guides called spirit teachers, whose primary purpose is to inspire you to learn. They will also direct you to teachers and classrooms that will help you fulfill your soul's ambitions. Listen for your spirit guides. Listen for your spirit teachers today. As they work, relevant information will be placed in front of you in the form of brochures, announcements, or invitations to new classrooms and teachers on the earth plane. Your spirit teachers may also work through messengers who spontaneously make recommendations for learning, sometimes for no apparent reason. Your role is to be an open-minded student. Be the ever learner, okay? Be the open-minded student. Our entire earthly experience is designed to be a classroom for the soul. Ask yourself, what have I learned lately? What am I called to learn next? And am I willing to learn? Then listen for your spirit teachers to help you answer these questions. They'll guide you when you're ready. Okay? Thank you. So, that was nice. It always gets me. Anyway, yeah, family, I hope it's resonated. I hope it's to, helped you pay attention to your own mindset and helped you shift your inner space and inner state and inner being a little bit. And, be comfortable. Recognize where you're afraid to sort of drop the illusions, drop the ego, and drop the resistance. We don't realize that there's always a little bit of a fear because we don't really know what life is all about. Not being in those places, not being in the tense energy and the space of anxiety, having our actions and our decisions and what we think is motivations come from that place of anxiety and needing to fulfill and think that we find purpose in trying to meet the expectation of the question that is seeded into you as a kid when someone asks you, what are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to do with your life? Right? That transforms into, what are you doing with your life? Where are you going? Okay? So recognize the programming and start learning to sort of find the courage to step out of it, okay? And move forward courageously. You'll always be caught, and the next step will always be made apparent to you, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye.